안녕하세요, this is Darren Criss, and I have the great joy of being on the Steve Hatherly show. I loved, holy shit, I went to Dragon. Love acting musician.
Hey, you just got our station shut down.
Yeah.
What can't Darren Criss do? I don't know what it is. He started off in school with a Harry Potter musical and then the subsequent musicals that followed. Then we had Hedwig, then we had How to Succeed in Business. Then we had Glee, of course. Then we had Computer Games, the band with his brother. Then we had American Crime Story, which was just so good. Then we had Hollywood. Then we had royalties. And then we have all the music mixed in between. Darren Criss. What a talent. Welcome to the Steve Hatherly show, and thank you so much for taking the time, man.
Thank you, Steve. I can dust off my only useful Korean and say 감사합니다. That's all I have.
Tell me something that you're bad at, please.
I was not born for the social media generation. I'm really bad at social media. I have a lot of hangups that are not built well for the sharing universe that kind of dictates what a successful social media relationship is with the person using it. I'm just so awful at it. I'm not good. People are really good about like I'm bad.
You know there's something you're not good at because it seems everything else you're pretty amazing at. Get straight into it. Let's go back to the beginning. I wanted to ask you first of all, because you got involved in theater at a super young age of 10, getting into school for it. But from what I learned about your family, your dad was a banker and your mom from Cebu in the Philippines. We're going to talk about that too, of course. But did you grow up around music, or where was it that the inspiration or the want or the desire for theater and music came from originally for you?
Growing up in the last 100 years, I would say, music is a commodity that we all grew up with in some way or another. So it's less about being around music and more being around people who are supportive of music, which would be the role that my parents definitely filled. We always had music in the house. My mom always liked singing and stuff. She wasn't necessarily a musician per se, nor was my dad, but they were always very supportive of the art. So I think they were pretty thrilled when I think I was 5, said I want to play the violin. I just said I wanted to play the violin. I guess I've always been kind of a nonconformist. I always wanted to do whatever nobody else I saw was doing. This ethos has been true my whole life. But I said, I want to play the violin. And before I knew it, my mom, God bless her, was like, great, we'll put you in lessons. And I think that was really what fostered my musical background, at least the technical aspect of understanding music.
I can't dance. I can't dance anymore.
Masquerade, the new EP. Congratulations, man. That's amazing.
Thank you. It's nice to have it be out of my brain and into someone else's,
Do you think that had it not been for the pandemic, maybe if we could find the big silver lining in this whole giant mess, like it would have been longer for this to come out or for this to come to fruition?
For me, music is always held off by me having the great fortune that I've had as an actor. So I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, I can't believe my acting career has gotten in the way of music. No, I've been really lucky. And so music is something that I can afford to kind of fit in between the schedule gaps that a very fruitful, fortunate acting career has yielded. And the pandemic certainly enabled that for me. I wish there was more songs. There's so much music from over the years that I really want to put out, but it just takes time.
Tell me about like how you feel about the music that you put on this EP.
Sometimes artists, and by artists I mean myself, can get so far up our own ass that we think that everybody in the world surely knows your career and your career path. But the truth is, when you put stuff out, yes, you're putting out stuff for people that may already be familiar with you. So you want to reintroduce them to something that's genuinely you, but also a new step in a different direction. But you also keep in mind that you're putting stuff out for the first time for people that have never heard of you in your life. And you have to treat every new thing like it's a new piece. I think there's nothing too unconventional about what I'm putting out. it's pop leaning music. I'm not pioneering any particular sound or ideas. I'm not going to try and reinvent the wheel here. You just put out stuff that you think is cool, and let's hope people agree. You know.
My name is Blaine.
Kurt.
Everybody wants to know about Glee, of course. It was one of the most successful television shows in recent American history. When you were doing it, though, you came in season 2, like massive mic drop with Teenage Dream. That was incredible. But this is what I wanted to ask you. When you were doing it, did you realize the significance of what Glee was at the time?
Of course. The show was a massive hit before I was on it. So I was aware of its sort of cultural ubiquity even before I had anything to do with it. I would talk about it with other people. I didn't even watch it. I kind of knew about it, but you had to live under a rock not to be aware of its cultural moment and the phenomenon that it was. Like, it's the kind of thing that knocks down your door, and if you don't know about it, you're like, what's wrong with you? How do you not know what Glee is, right? So I was in that category of people who, oh, Darren, you like theater? Would you like musical theater? What do you think of this show? And so I was kind of put into this conversation. So I was fully aware of its importance and its significance. So when you join a show like that, I kind of had a bird's eye view the whole time, going like, holy I'm on Glee. This thing is huge. I didn't know that I'd be on it as long. I certainly didn't know that Teenage Dream would take on the life that it did. I'm thrilled for it, and but I'm fully aware that it had to do with things much bigger than myself. I don't know if I would have had the same tenure on that show if it weren't for the fact that I was cast as an anticipated character for one of the show's favorite characters. Anybody else, I don't know if we'd be sitting here talking.
What does it mean to you now? I mean, now it's what are we 6-7 years removed from the finale?
Oh my God, I loved every second of that show. I loved everybody on it. I have, I was joking. There was some press pickup about, I've got a podcast going on weekly. I got this music festival I'm trying to get back up in New York, and I have this new EP coming out. But you talk about Glee for like 30 seconds, and that's all people pick up. It's funny, and I'm not knocking press for doing that. It's because it still has so much cachet, and it is the clickbaity thing. The thing that bummed me out about it is that they tried to sort of twist something as if I was antagonizing something from Glee, and it's like, anybody who knows me, or like I've never been inconsistent with this. Like, I loved Glee, man. It was such a goddamn privilege. It was one of the biggest opportunities of my life. It's not like you had to convince me to do Glee. Holy shit, I went for, like, that was an insane moment for me.
My skin tight jeans be your teenage dream tonight.
Versace has invited me to the opera. Of course I said yes.
From Blaine to Andrew Cunanan in American Crime Story, The Assassination of Gianni Versace. When I saw that show, I was like, Blaine? you were incredible on that show. How much of a stretch? I mean, obviously that character was a serial killer, but how do you even prepare for a character like that? You did an incredible job of just embodying the creepiness of what that character was supposed to be.
I have no idea.
I'd like to dispel that. For me as an actor, I put the same amount of emotional and intellectual equity into creating a comedy like Glee as I would a tragedy like American Crime Story. Now, they exist in very different worlds, and obviously the characterizations are a little different, and they have different worlds, and the vibes are different. But the truth is, as an actor, I do the same amount of preparation and give it the same amount of consideration as I would any other character. It's still trying to bring a character to life and try and take an emotional idea and make it an experience for people.
Let's go to a masquerade. Let's stay up all night. Let's go and collaborate. La, 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 let's.
Speaking of, Asia in general, have you been over here, by the way? Have you been to this part of the world before? Your mom's from the Philippines?
She's from the Philippines, but as many people, especially folks that actually do live in Korea, I cannot wait. I cannot wait. I've always wanted to go to Seoul. I've always wanted to play a show in Seoul or do something there. for many obvious reasons. It's one of the great cities of the world. Obviously, the music coming out of for all the reasons that I feel like are so obvious that I don't need to like list them. Just you wait for the opportunity and the time to go. So I look forward to it truly, and I can't wait to get back there and play my songs in Seoul and you know, tie one on and drink a couple of beers with some friends down there. I can't wait.
An article on MTV, and your love of K-pop was on display in that article. Is that potentially in the cards in your future? Maybe a collab with a K-pop group, maybe music?
I'm a big fan. It's also interesting seeing how we loved K-pop when we were on Glee. Me and Kevin McHale would talk about it all the time, and it's interesting because now, I guess especially in the West, K-pop is sort of predominantly associated with, you know, BTS and Blackpink, but during Glee we were really into G-Dragon, and I was really into a lot of smaller acts that I don't know if anybody necessarily knows, but there was a brother-sister duo called Akdong Musician that I really like.
That's amazing that you know about them.
That's a group that I would do anything to like write a record with. I love Akdong Musician, and anytime I play K-pop, that's my go-to. You want to hear really cool music, and I'll play them. I love Akdong Musician.
Awesome. Masquerade came out. Everybody needs to buy this. For your fans here in Korea, tell us what we need to know about the EP.
Well, I think it's whether you know my music or not, it's certainly more pop-leaning and very unapologetically so. This is a record that you know, was making during a pandemic, and I wanted to offer something joyful to the world. In the past, I've done very kind of pensive, much more analog kind of singer-songwriting stuff that wasn't meant to compete in any kind of bigger pop universe. It's for my fans and frankly for my mom, and you know, very, very chill stuff. Whereas this was sort of ideally playlist, radio ready, you know, music that you can dance to, that you don't really have to know the context of. And it's me, you know, putting on the different masks. You can do that as an actor, right? You can play Blaine, you can play Andrew Cunanan. That's using different masks, and so I'm playing the part of the new wave retro song, the party song, the jazz, you know, hip hop infusion song. Like, there's a lot of different masks that I wanted to apply to doing this record in the way that I do with my acting career. So at the end of the day, it's just music you can hopefully be friends with. And I hope that you enjoy it and play it at your next COVID safe party.
Very nice. It's called Masquerade. It's the new EP from Darren Criss. I've heard it. It's fantastic. Darren, thank you so much. Such a pleasure for me to sit.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. I really appreciate it.
All right,
Bye.
Darren.